And this is where Britain's top commentators speak out on controversial issues without the fear of the cancel culture sweeping the rest of the media. And there's nothing more controversial than being proud of your parents, as my guest tonight discovered a decade ago. Yes, it's been 10 years since this article in the Daily Mail turned Samantha Brick into an international hate figure and one of the original victims of cancel culture, just because she asked, why do women hate me for being so beautiful? Social media went berserk with the Mail's Facebook page, receiving 1.5 million comments on the article in 24 hours, and trolls queuing up to tear Samantha down, with one even telling her she should be, quote, bricked to death. Samantha was dragged onto TV in the US and Australia and forced to defend her body confidence. Before that was even a concept, really. Well, and I can't believe this, Friends actually ditched her over the controversy. While she tried to make the most of her infamy, appearing on shows including Have I Got News for You and Celebrity Big Brother, the ghost of that article is still following Samantha around a decade later. So now, and I love this, she's leaning into the abuse and showing solidarity to self-assured women who find themselves in storms as intense as hers on a daily basis, thanks to Twitter, writing a brand new Daily Mail article in which she is not only unapologetic about her statement in 2012, but riling the trolls again by saying, I am resolute because a decade on, now 51, and pre-menopausal, no longer blonde but brunette and still a proud size 10 to 12, I still think I'm beautiful. In fact, I'd say I'm even more beautiful than 10 years ago. And Samantha Brick joins me now. Samantha, you put yourself through it again. I am so impressed with you. What was the reaction like a decade on?
Oh, well, thank you for having me on, Dan. I'm such a fan, first of all, and I love my introduction, so thank you. Do you know, I've been going back and forth with my Mail editors for about 6 months on whether I should do it or not, because I thought, oh my God, do I stoke the trolls again? What will my family think? What will my best friend think? Because the first time round, I just wrote it. It was one of those things where something happened and it was a real kind of, you shoot from the hip, you pitch an idea, everyone goes, oh my God, I love it, write it for us now. You write it, you file it, and you know what it's like, Dan. It didn't run for a few weeks, so I didn't think anything more of it. And then on the morning it ran, that's when my world changed forever, really. So when the anniversary was coming up, you know, and it's the same editorial team at the Mail. They're fantastic women. I love them so much. They're like, come on, will you do it again for us? Reflect back on what's happened over the last decade. Because so much has happened, Dan, as you know. We've had the Me Too movement, body positivity. And, you know, when that article first was published, trolls weren't really a thing back then.
No.
And, you know, at the time when I wrote it, I lived in the middle of nowhere, in the middle of France. I just got married. I was totally out of the London media scene. I didn't really realise what a kind of massive tool Twitter was for sort of the general population. And so, yeah, I did dip my toe back into this with a bit of trepidation. But when I started writing it and started thinking about it, I thought, you know what? I have got so much to say. So many women have been in touch with me over the years about their experiences, and you know, I still get them. You know, I still get a couple of, even today, I still get a couple a month. You know, of women talking to me about what they've been through as well. So it just seemed a really valid point. You know, everyone's talking about the menopause. Everyone's talking about being in your 50s. It's a real media pressure point at the moment. So I just thought, you know what, I'm going to go there. Let's do it.
And what interested me about the article, Samantha, is that you are still getting hatred for being beautiful. You say there are still women in your life who avoid you or don't want to be friends with you because of your looks.
This is true. And a decade ago, you know, in my sort of, you know, late 30s, early 40s, when this kind of thing was happening, or certainly my 20s and 30s as well, I put that down to them, and I just squarely put it onto them and their sort of anxieties and their insecurities. But now a decade on, I can see that, you know, a lot of women aren't happy with themselves and with their lives. And certainly living in France, women are really confident here. And it's kind of, you know, I've got stepkids. I've seen how they're brought up and how they're sort of exposed to society and the world at large at school. And they have confidence ingrained into their DNA, really, from the get-go. And so,
I was going to ask
now,
if
when I look at women who are still trolling me, who are still flicking the virtual finger at me, I can see that I just feel sorry for them, to be fair. Just really.
But I was going to ask Samantha, do you think this is a uniquely British thing? Because, of course, if you look to the US, you have celebrities like Lizzo, who is larger woman, very proud of it, very body confident, and she doesn't get much trolling at all. So do you think this is about Britain and the way that British people want folk to be modest?
Yeah, I mean, yes. Before I moved to France, I worked in telly for about 20 years. So I worked in the UK, I worked in the US. US people, the US culture is to build you up. The British culture is to knock you down. And I think that's really true. We in Britain, we're very into false modesty. So I look great. Oh, well, do you think I look all right tonight? When you've spent hours getting ready and you absolutely rock, but you can't say that to anyone because they'll be like, check her, who do you think she is? But whereas in the US, they'll be like, yeah, you look fantastic, go girl. And it is a very, and where does it come from? I don't know, Dan, but it's a really British thing that we need to kind of get rid of in 2022, to be honest, because, you see it on social media, you see it on the Insta stories. I've got nieces. They can't be out and proud about how great they look, and they rock. All girls of that generation rock, whatever they're wearing, however they're looking. But even today in this century, they cannot say that without someone wanting to slam them for it.
Well, stay beautiful, Samantha Brick. I am so glad that 10 years on, you're now officially uncancelled.